Hey everyone, welcome into the DFS Den. It's Dave Eddy here, aka Corporal Eddy on Twitter, and we finally made it. Week 1 is just around the corner. It's the start of my daily videos. I'm not sure if you were following along for MLB, but in MLB I was making a daily video covering DFS stuff really quickly, just kind of giving you what you needed to know for the slate. I'm doing something very similar for NFL here. I'm going to be covering a different position each day of the week up until Sunday, to give you all the information you need in a kind of a quick fashion. So today we're going to be talking about defense and special teams and tight ends for week 1. And so let's just jump right into it, and let's talk about defense and special teams first, because this is typically going to be pretty quick. Now, I've said before, defense and special teams, when it comes to cash, you kind of just want to play whatever makes the most sense. And typically that's going to be a cheap, very chalky defense. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's, you're just basically playing the best plays when it comes to cash. However, in MME, you got to avoid the chalk with defense and special teams, like, for sure. This week, that's the Washington Commanders. So they're coming in, pretty highly owned compared to, the other defenses around them as it sits right now. So for MME, I'm taking the Washington Commanders right out of my player pool. Zero interest. You gain absolutely nothing typically by playing those defenses. Very rarely do you come across a winning lineup that has the chalk defense. So we want to figure out, who do we want to pivot to that, is going to garner much less ownership. And usually you want to stick right around the same, dollar amount. Almost always, if you're not punting, you're at least paying down at defense. So for this week, I'm off Washington Commanders, and I'm looking at the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. On DraftKings, the Jaguars are the same price as the Commanders, $2,500. The Texans are $100 less. So basically what I'm looking to do is take that chalk defense, go up, a few spots, go down a few spots, and find someone that's going to be far less owned, because odds are, with how volatile the defense special teams are, those teams are going to score in the ballpark of what, that chalky team is going to score anyway. So that's the way we're looking at defense special teams this week. Let's get into the tight end position, something that's a lot more prevalent here. So for me in cash, I'm looking for one of two things. And honestly, it's kind of the same thing in MME as well. At the tight end position, I'm pretty much either going to look to pay up and play, an elite player, in a good spot, or I'm looking to just pay down and completely punt the position. And this week is going to be no different. So when I'm looking at the tight end position, I've got 3 pay-up options that I really like. I've got Mark Andrews on the road against the Jets. I've got Travis Kelce on the road in what should be a fairly high-scoring game against the Cardinals. And then I like Kyle Pitts at home against the Saints. Now, of these guys, Travis Kelce is going to definitely garner the most ownership here by quite a lot. And then Andrews and Pitts are going to be, fairly similar. Pitts is definitely, the cheaper of the options as far as salary is concerned. And Andrews and Kelce are going to be pretty similar. Me personally, for cash especially, it's Mark Andrews. He's basically the wide receiver 1 on that team. I mean, he's going to be the guy that most likely is going to get the most targets. So it's almost like paying for, a relatively cheap at his price tag wide receiver. And it's going to be a guy that, I think Lamar is going to target a lot. So Andrews is where I like to go if I'm paying up. But just know that, Kelce and Pitts are absolutely playable as well. If you decide you want to save a little bit of money, Pitts would be, the guy at the bottom of the barrel there. But I wouldn't go much lower than him until I get down near the bottom. So my pay down options, the guys I'm looking at are, I like Irv Smith. So Irv Smith is going up against the Packers. I think that's a pretty sneaky matchup. That's one that I could see there being a lot of points. And, he's going to be a little bit more expensive than I like. So in MME, I might pass a little bit on him. But he's definitely in the player pool and definitely someone I'm going to have some exposure to. But as a pay down cash option, I really do like it. And then we come to Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst is, basically the same price, is $100 less expensive on DraftKings, but his ownership is going to be about half as much. And honestly, I think he is amazing leverage off of the, Bengals wide receivers. So Hayden Hurst is maybe my favorite MME tight end target if I'm paying down. And then the last guy that I like is Brevin Jordan. So Brevin Jordan is going to be a guy who, like with any pay down tight end especially, is going to be pretty touchdown dependent. He's going up against the Colts. I could see that being a low-scoring game, but, his ownership percentage is going to be fairly low. He comes in pretty inexpensive, so as far as a pay-down option is concerned, he's definitely somebody that I like there. So that's what I'm thinking about, defense, special teams, and tight ends for week 1 of the NFL DFS season. Tomorrow, I'm going to be coming in here talking about not tight ends. I got the wrong thing on my mind. I'm going to be talking about quarterbacks. So that's going to be big because that's where we're building our stacks, our game stacks, our team stacks, and all that. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. We'll see you then.